Tasya Jnananjana Shalakya Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. This is a verse from the third canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 25, text 20. Prasangam ajaram pasham atmana kavayoridu seva sadhu sukrito moksha dvaram apavritam. Every learned man should know. Every learned man knows very well that attachment for the material is the greatest entanglement of the spirit soul. But the same attachment, when applied to the self-realized devotee, opens the door of liberation. Just to make sure all of you are awake, and you've heard the verse, repeat after me the translation. Every learned man knows very well that attachment for the material is the greatest entanglement of the spirit soul. But that same attachment, when applied to the self-realized devotees, opens the door of liberation. So this verse is being spoken by Lord Kapila Dev. In the third canto of the Bhagavatam, you read about the dialogue between Devahuti and his son Kapila Dev. Devahuti was his mother. She knew that my son is an incarnation of God. So she asked her son questions, and her son was very happy to respond. Just like when you're out preaching, and someone says, give me one set of Bhagavatam, you're happy. So a devotee is happy when somebody inquires about spiritual life. So Kapil Devahuti said, my dear son, I know that you are an incarnation of God. Brahma had already told her. Please tell me, how can I free myself from this entanglement of birth and death? So the son said, my mother, your question is glorious. And then he explains by the path of pure devotional service. And pure devotional service is cultivated by associating with devotees. So in this verse that I read to you, is a very, very famous verse of the Bhagavatam. Devotees often quote this. What is Kapila Dev saying? He's saying attachment for the spiritualist opens the door for liberation. And the same attachment for the materialist leads to bondage. So we all have some attachment or the other. And if you don't have positive attachment, then you'll have negative attachment. So most of us, we're born in ignorance, we live in ignorance, and we die in ignorance. And those who are fortunate come in contact with the devotee of the Lord and take the devotional service. Brahmanda Brahmide Kunam Bhagwanaji, Guru Krishna Kripa Pai Bhakti Lata Beat. After going through many births and deaths, these are fortunate souls who receive the seed of bhakti. So all of you who are participating in this program and who are members of ISKCON are very fortunate, because after going through so many births and deaths, you've got the pure knowledge, the seed of bhakti. Prabhupada gave us the pure message without any adulteration, and the pure message may be a little difficult in the beginning, but if we endeavor, Krishna helps. So Kapila Dev said, my dear mother, one who is attached to material things or to a material personality, then if you are attached to wrong habits, then that will lead to bondage. What does bondage mean? Bondage means repetition in the cycle of birth and death. And suppose we get attached to a sadhu. Then attachment to a sadhu means you're following the sadhu's instructions. Attachment doesn't mean sentimental attachment. Why am I attached to him? Attachment in spiritual life means attached to the instructions. So Lord Kapila said, by associating with devotees, one can develop this attachment. So how do you get attached to a sadhu? You get attached to a sadhu by meditating on his instructions. Vapo and Vani, these are two techniques, two procedures by how we receive spiritual knowledge. Vapo, if the person is there to give it himself, Vani is the instruction. So, why do the scriptures say again and again, sadhu sangha, sadhu sangha? In the famous verse, Chaitanya Chaturvedi said, sadhu sangha, sarva shastra kaya, navamata sadhu sangha, sarva siddhikaya. All the scriptures recommend that one should associate with a saintly person. Because if you associate with a saintly person, you will get inspired to do what's right and ignore what is wrong. So, Kapila Deva is instructing us, get attached to the transcendentalist. And what's the definition of a sadhu? Lord Kapila has explained the qualities. He should be tolerant, merciful, compassionate, etc. Sadhu doesn't mean somebody just wearing a spiritual uniform. Sadhu means one who is following the instructions. Sadhu doesn't mean you have to be a brahmachari or sannyasi to be a sadhu. Even a householder can be a sadhu if he is following the spiritual path. So we need the spiritual association. Prabhupada created International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Why? So that we can associate. And Prabhupada gave us plenty of ammunition. Just like when you're fighting a war, you need ammunition. So you need ammunition for spiritual advancement also. One of our ammunition is these wonderful temples that Prabhupada created. Prabhupada created these, someone will say, these were developed by Maharaj or anyone. But all these temples are there because of Prabhupada's mercy. I feel that in Delhi, and I've told you all this before, the special mercy is there. As Prabhupada spent significant time in Delhi preaching. Before Prabhupada went abroad, I think he spent maximum time in Delhi. Prabhupada used to reside at Radha Damodar, take the rickshaw, Tanga, go to Mathura, take a third-class compartment ticket, Mathura to Delhi, then sit in a cycle rickshaw and go to Chipiwara. Chipiwara was Prabhupada's headquarters. When Prabhupada went to America on the passport, his permanent address was Chipiwara Temple. So Prabhupada spent a lot of time in Delhi. He physically distributed books, and he gave so much mercy that we are bearing the fruits now. So by association, we can make spiritual advancement. So one of the main ammunition that Prabhupada gave us was these temples. Then these books and the instructions. So if we want to make spiritual advancement, there is plenty of ammunition. And Lord Kapila Deva says, when you practice Krishna consciousness in the association of devotees, spiritual life becomes easy. Just like if you were to practice Krishna consciousness all alone, you would find it very difficult. But when you come to the temple and associate with devotees, it becomes so easy. for a few months, many of our temples were closed. In Delhi, we were lucky by Prabhupada's mercy. We got the temple opened about 6 weeks ago, and with Krishna's grace, since then we've been running it without any real problem. So, when we were in the lockout period, everyone was unhappy, isn't it? They can't have darshan of the deities, they don't have darshan of devotees. So spiritual association is a must. Lord Chaitanya emphasized 5 items. And the first item he said was sadhu sangha. So please take advantage of this. Our goal should be not only to be a devotee, our goal should be to make spiritual advancement. Just like in material life, we want to make material progress. And to make spiritual advancement, we should get attached to the holy name, get attached to the scriptures, and get attached to service. The result of genuine attachment is you become more humble and determined. So the scriptures remind us about this again and again. And we should, as I make it a point to remind you every year, we should read Prabhupada's books, chant around attentively, and take advantage of devotee association. We should be anxious to give, anxious to take. When you have the opportunity to associate with somebody more advanced, we become joyful because we're going to hear something that's going to help us on the spiritual path. When we meet somebody equally advanced, we make friendship. Friendship means we work together to preach. And when you meet somebody less advanced, we display compassion. So, my request to all of you is time and tide, wait for no one. We can see every day how there's misery and the end can come at any time. So be serious about Krishna consciousness. Don't waste 1 minute. Srila Pandit said, a minute lost cannot be made up with the wealth of the entire world. No doubt we have a lot of impediments now. For example, we can't go on the streets and do book distribution. But I know many devotees who are doing online preaching and distributing sets and so on. So if we are determined to preach, there will always be an opportunity. And we should give up all material attachments. Material attachments are an impediment. And Lord Chaitanya said, take shelter of a bona fide spiritual teacher. Surrender. Get initiated. Inquire what do you have to give up to make spiritual advancement. So, just like if you want to cure yourself from some disease, you will ask, what do you have to give up to recover quickly? So I'm very grateful that all of you came. This year there was a lot of discussion whether they have the Vyas Puja or not. So they're doing it in a very humble way. I believe everyone is doing it online. So please take the Krishna Consciousness and be happy. Prabhupada said, practice Krishna Consciousness and be happy. So be happy. But you can get genuine happiness only by following the spiritual path. So please take the Krishna Consciousness seriously and be determined to make spiritual advancement. Since we are running late, this is a short lecture. We'll give a longer lecture in the evening. I believe there's a program in the evening also. Hare Krishna.